Nicolette Boele, welcome to the programme.
Great to be here.
First woman to win Bradfield, first independent after being a Liberal seat for 75 years. What does this moment mean?
It's an extreme honour, and I think people in the electorate have voted. I know it's 26 votes, but they are really looking forward to better representation, and being an independent on this crossbench gives us that opportunity to get their values and their views heard in this federal parliament.
And for you, it's obviously been an extraordinary 4 weeks. Just the moment where you realised, where you knew you had won.
Yes, exciting, also a bit exhausted, and it's just an absolute great honour. I mean, this is really the fruits of years of campaigning, but particularly 1,450 volunteers. We had 222 people scrutineering over the last 4.5 weeks, including about 12 people doing all the catering for those scrutineers. So this is truly a community effort. I'm very, very proud. What
was the actual moment where you realised you had won?
Probably only during a press conference a few hours ago in Linfield, where I was joined by about 60 volunteers at the drop of a text message in 30 minutes. And I was standing in front of the cameras and the words, "Nicolette, MP for Bradfield," came up. And it was that moment that I thought, wow, not just a candidate, but someone who has been elected. And it is genuinely starting to sink in as one of the biggest honours that I've ever had in my life.
I saw some pictures of you before. I think you were hugging your mother.
Yes, my mum's in St Ives. She's a constituent as well.
Now, as we said, it was called for you on election night. Then you've been up and down. So during the past 4 weeks, have you allowed yourself to think at any moment that, notwithstanding you said you really believed it when you heard the words in the press conference, but during those 4 weeks, what was it like for you?
Oh, it was nothing short of a roller coaster. And I always knew it was going to be tight. I'm not sure I realised just how tight it was going to be. And that's a great credit also to Gisele Kapterian, who ran with great humility and civility a campaign as well. She is an absolutely strong candidate for the Liberal Party. And it just means that, you know, this is now an opportunity to get our voice heard, and I'm so looking forward to playing that role.
Now, we're sitting here together and you're used to talking about politics, but I can see tears in your eyes.
It has been a roller coaster, and it's so wonderful to get across the line. There is the big hard job starts now. I'm not under any illusion about that, but it is really such a privilege.
Now, the peculiar situation that we're in now is, of course, you've been through a recount, so you've watched the scrutineers. Just explain that process, what it's like watching people count and examine vote by vote.
So I haven't actually been in the process because that's not permissible for a candidate, but it's certainly blow-by-blow accounts at the end of each day. It has given me absolute confidence, even more confidence than before, in our democracy and in the Australian Electoral Commission. So it was really, really close after that distribution of preferences, and the AEC called an immediate recount. Not a partial recount, but a full recount. Every single ballot, including the ones that had previously been marked as informal, were put back in the mix. So everything's been counted again. It's been scrutinised by my side, by the Liberal side and others, and it's had an extra layer of checking as well from the Australian Electoral Office. So what we have here is it's a highly analogue system, so it can't be hacked, but it is absolutely heartening to watch with confidence how comprehensive, how rigorous, and frankly how reliable this system is that gives us the outcome of elections.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about gender in the Teal movement, in the independent movement. How important is it for you that you are the first female candidate to be successful in Bradfield?
Well, had it gone the other way, we would have had a female candidate as well. So, I mean, it's not nothing, but I think really what we're looking at is somebody who can represent the broader community. And after 5 gentlemen from the one party holding the seat in Bradfield, 75 years, yes, I think this is a time to have a different lens through which policy and representation can be done, and I'm very sincerely looking forward to getting cracking on that.
Now, we are in the slightly unusual position that you're, notwithstanding what we're talking about tonight, that your opponent, Gisele Kapterian, hasn't yet conceded. She would have to find grounds to take the result to the Court of Disputed Returns. She hasn't made a decision. She certainly hasn't made public her decision. Do you think that she will do that?
Well, that's a question for her. It was definitely a very close contest. I have confidence in the process, as I've just described, and the outcome today. That is going to be a question for the Liberal Party and for Gisele Kapterian.
How, given what the voters of Bradfield have just been through, how do you think they would respond to a by-election?
Probably a little bit how I'm feeling. I'm up for it. I did it in 2022, 2025, and I'll be back at it in 2028. So I think the grit and the commitment's there, but I think the people in Bradfield just want to get on with having their voices heard in Parliament, and that's certainly what I plan to do.
Now, how much do you know now about the reasons that you won? I'm not talking necessarily about the politics, but in terms of where the votes came from in Bradfield, in that recount, did you learn any more about what delivered you this tiny victory?
I think the entrails are still going to be looked through over the next few weeks. In fact, the Electoral Commission itself will still be doing the actual preference flows and publishing those, and we'll have a much clearer idea at that time.
And what difference did it make, do you think, that you stayed in Bradfield after the close result in 2022? You lost, you didn't go away, you stayed and essentially began campaigning again. How important do you think that's been in your victory?
Yeah, I think it has been a key part. It's give the confidence with the team who came and volunteered for 2025 as well. But we also ran the Bradfield for Yes referendum out of our campaign headquarters in October 2023. So that momentum and keeping match fit in terms of real grassroots community campaigning has kind of given us that extra, I suppose, feather in our bow to bring it home this time in 2025.
Bringing it home, have you learnt anything more about yourself? You've been through a campaign before, but nonetheless, here you are at the end of a second and particularly difficult one. What do you know about yourself now?
I think I had the imposter syndrome before. I definitely have grit and strength and courage, but I am just one volunteer amongst the literally hundreds of them, and what I've learnt is I really thrive when I work as a team, and it's been an absolute privilege to work with every single one of the people that turned up to help shift and make Bradfield independent this time.
Without wanting to sort of overstate the comparison, we had Jacinda Ardern on at the beginning of the week talking about imposter syndrome. So anybody who's interested in the idea of leadership without always being certain, I recommend they look at that interview. But tonight is your night. Nicolette Boele, congratulations. Lots to talk about in the future, but for now, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Sarah.